The Joe Rogan Experience.
I've been a fan of yours forever, man. I was a huge Star Wars fan when I was a kid, and you inspired me. When I was young, I really wanted to be a makeup artist. I wanted to do special effects and the kind of stuff that you do.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, man. I think it was probably Star Wars that kicked it off for me because I, like many kids, a lot of people today, we're so removed with first VHS and then DVDs and Laserdiscs and now streaming. It's so easy to watch movies. But when Star Wars came out, we would go see it over and over and over again. It was like a little contest between a lot of the kids that I went to school with. And I think I saw it 13 times while it was out in the movie theater. But I became fascinated. I've always been fascinated with comic books. I always wanted to be a comic book illustrator, and I always loved like those fantasy novels, like creepy and eerie, those graphic novels. But I really became fascinated with special effects and particularly makeup after your work.
Well, it's kind of the same thing for me. I mean, I grew up I was born in 1950, I grew up in front of a TV, but it was a little black and white one, and there was always the monster movies on Saturdays, or Sundays, and that stuff just hit a chord with me, and I just said, I have to do this,
What was the first thing that you did?
First ever makeup kind of thing I did? Well, I mean, I'm an only child. My mom wasn't supposed to have kids because she had a bad heart and stuff, but they wanted children, but I was very shy. I stayed in my bedroom. I couldn't talk to an adult and stuff like that. Yeah. The very first thing, I got interested in makeup, and I got some just white grease paint and black grease paint and smeared it on my face. And just with a layer of grease paint on my face, when I was looking in the mirror, it wasn't little Ricky Baker anymore. And I could do things that I couldn't do without this shit smeared on my face,
Wow.
And it helped me overcome my shyness. But I mean, it started with that. But I mean, I wanted to do something more, So I ended up I made my first mask, I think, when I was 13, and it was Curse of Frankenstein. And I did that one mainly because I thought I could copy that one and make it look close enough, because there's some crudeness to that makeup. I've actually at first didn't like it, but I like it now. I mean, it's when you find out how the film industry works, and poor Philip Leakey, who did that makeup, had like a week to prep, and no money, so I forgive some of the faults with it.
Well, it's great when you stop and think about the earliest versions of makeup in movies, like special effects style makeup in movies. You go back to like Nosferatu was probably one of the very earliest, right? I mean, they really didn't have anything to go with. There wasn't anything to copy.
Yeah.
They kind of had to make it up.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, the Nosferatu is it's a great film.
It's a great film, and still to this day.
Yeah, and the look, I mean, it shouldn't work by all.
Right.
It's like a big hook nose, and but it works great. But yeah, and same thing. I mean, Lon Chaney had nothing to work with,
right.
Spirit gum and cotton, and he did, to this day, some of my favorite makeups and some of the best makeups. And I think the limitations in a lot of ways made the makeups work better. I mean, now we can add so much stuff, and I find that happens so much now, like with that Face-Off show and stuff. Mm-hmm. People, it's more like about how much can you pile on someone's face, but sometimes the most effective makeups are just the teeniest little bit of things that you do, and let a lot of the humanity show through.
Like Lon Chaney in Phantom of the Opera.
Great makeup.
Yeah.
It's a terrific. And Chaney was just brilliant anyways,
yes.
And great at making scary faces. That's how I learned to make scary faces, watching Chaney movies.
Yeah, and he's another one. There was not much for him to go on. He was kind of like a pioneer.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure.
And I mean, again, like I said, it's still some of my favorite makeups. That and, Jack Pierce's Frankenstein's monster.
Yes.
Again, crude materials, and he, it was, and poor Boris Karloff, what he had to endure. I mean, that isn't none of the makeups he did on Boris were comfortable, with cotton and spirit gum and collodion. Collodion, I don't know if you might know what collodion is because of your fight background kind of stuff, but it's a plastic. They used to use it to close up boxers' wounds and stuff. It's like kind of this liquid plastic, but it smells horrible. And, to be working around someone's eyes with this fumes of stuff and yeah, I mean, he had to put up with a lot.
So it's kind of like a glue?
Yeah, it's a kind of a liquidy, plasticky stuff.
Can you pull up a video of Nosferatu? What year was that?
I don't know what.
1922?
22.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You stop and think about that, film itself had only been how old then?
Yeah, not very.
Not very.
But yeah.
See if you can get a video of it. Yeah. His, just the whole thing about the way he moved, like everything, it was so creepy and interesting.
Well, and the whole film, I mean, just beautifully shot. I mean, so many of the silent films, I mean, the photography is so incredible,
I mean, I wonder what they did with the fingers. Like, how'd they get his fingers?
Well, I think those are just his hands at this point. I mean, later, I mean, in like the John Barrymore, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading in Famous Monsters, which was again my Bible.
Right.
Did you get Famous Monsters at all?
Yes.
Yeah,
I did.
Oh, yeah. You said creepy and eerie and all that.
Sure.
Yeah. They said John Barrymore did the whole transformation without makeup. And it's not true. He's got finger extensions on. He's got like a pointed back of a head. And stuff. But yeah, it's Nosferatu, brilliant.
So what did they do for his ears? Do you know?
Well, I'm not sure what they're made out of. Same with the bald head. I mean, I know rubber existed then. I mean, you can kind of see. I mean, he's got. I think it's probably just like a slip rubber, which is like what Halloween masks are made out of, ears and bald head and nose.
Yeah, some sort of prosthetic nose, right?
Yeah, and those big pointy teeth. But again, I mean, if you really kind of analyze it and look at it, you think this is stupid. It'll never work, but it works great. And I also think it's because Max Schreck was great. He does some really cool things with his hands and stuff.
Well, if nothing like this existed and it was dark out and you saw a guy like that in your house, you would freak out.
Well,
I mean, that's
I'd freak
terrifying
out
looking.
if I saw somebody in my house anyways.
Yeah, someone smiling would freak you out.
Yeah.